welcome back. Welcome to Pouring Your Heart Out. We're back in the kitchen today. When I did my previous New York style cookies, the big, thick, chunky ones, I went out to my chest freezer out on my deck there and I showed you my Nutella cookies that I had frozen in there. And so many of you wanted that recipe. So today's the day. We are going to make New York style Nutella stuffed chocolate chip cookies. We are. So the first thing we need to do is, I've got my little tray here, and just with some baking paper on it. Use that one. Parchment paper, I think you might call it in the States. So anyway, and because I like to freeze my batter and keep it, like you can keep it up for up to 3 months, I like to do a double batch. If I'm going to make all these cookies, I want to make a lot of cookies. So I'm doing a double batch. It's probably about 24, 25, might even get 26. So I'm going to take 26 heaped teaspoons and just pop them on my paper like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze these, because Nutella is sticky and it's gooey. It is delicious, but we can't put soft Nutella like this into our cookie batter. So we need to freeze these first. So I'm going to just try and get 20, well, we'll see how many I can get. I'm not sure. I don't want to put them too close together because I don't want them running into each other. So we'll just put as many as I can on. I may have to do 2 trays. So I hope you enjoyed my last video. I really enjoy baking. I always have. Cooking, not so much, cooking dinner and things like that. But I love baking. I love sharing my baking with people, taking it into work, giving it to friends and family, things like that. I really enjoy doing that. So, yeah, I thought I'd do some baking videos. Now, because, you know, obviously there's people that have been following me from my acrylic pouring days and my resin days. You know, those people may or may not enjoy watching my cooking videos, but it's also just for people that may get into YouTube and search, you know, Nutella stuffed cookies or white chocolate macadamia cookies. So, you know, they may not have any interest in me or my acrylic pouring or my resin, but they're looking for a cookie recipe. So this is also for those people. So don't just think because I just do acrylic pouring and resin, that it's just for those people. It's for everybody out there on YouTube. Okay, how many have I got? Back over here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. All right, I'm a bit short. I'm going to put these in the freezer and I'm going to make up another tray, and then I will come back to you when it's time for the next step. So while the Nutella balls are freezing, I'm going to take an hour or two. I'm happy to leave them in there an hour or two. We will get started with just weighing out some of our ingredients. The last thing I'm going to do is put the butter in there, because it's in the fridge and it's going to stay in the fridge until the very last minute. So I'm going to weigh out everything else that I need. So I will put the recipe down in the description. I'm not going to write down all the method and every step, because you can follow along with me and, you know, you can watch what I'm doing, take notes if you need to. Yeah, I figured the video tutorial is going to be better than having it all written out. Alright, so I am going to use caster sugar. So this is super fine sugar. You can buy regular sugar as well, but I like the caster sugar. I use it in all my baking because it's a smaller grain and it dissolves faster. So I'm doing grams. I've zeroed it, and I want 200 grams of caster sugar. And the caster sugar gives a nice sweet flavour and also a crispy top. I've put too much in there. 200. It doesn't matter if you've got 200 and got 202, that's fine. And then I just close it back up again with my tape, like so. Right, so that's the white sugar done. Now the next thing is the brown sugar. It's a light brown sugar, it's not a dark brown sugar. And this is what gives us that really gorgeous sort of caramelly flavour, but also mainly the soft, ooey gooey chewiness. All right, so 500 grams of brown sugar. Going in. $4.80, $4.90, $5.15. I'll just take a little bit out. There we go, we're on 504. And I'll just take that one up as well. Okay, so now the first thing we're going to do, like I said, I'm going to put my butter in there and it's going to mix with the sugars. But I'm happy to put the sugar in there now, like so. And it can wait until the butter's ready to go in. But I'm going to use this bowl here to weigh out my dry ingredients. So I like to just put everything on the scale. I'm going to zero it. I can put my flour in there and then I can sieve it straight away as well. So sugars. The next thing we're going to do is self-raising flour. I've just got this one. And I'm going to do 600 grams of self-raising flour. I'd have needed a bigger bowl. Oh gosh. Okay, that's 520, 570, 580, 600 exactly. 600 grams of self-raising flour. Goes over there. So I can just sieve this now. Probably would have been easier to do 300 grams, sieve it, and then 300 grams. Would have been the sensible thing to do, but anyway. I did it all at once. So that's the self-raising flour going in there, like so. I'll put that back on my scale and I'm going to zero it again. And now we are doing 400 grams of plain flour. I'm going to get a bigger bowl. I don't know why. Oops, I don't know why I got such a small bowl. I don't know why I got such a small bowl out. Oh, never mind. I'll put that in a minute. All right, zero that. 400 grams of plain flour. I like the two different flours. You just get different properties on each of them. And what did I say? 400. So it's a kilo of flour all up. If you didn't want to do 600 of self-raising and 400 of plain, you could just do a kilo of plain, and then you'll have to add bicarbonate of soda or baking soda and more baking powder. Right, so that's that one done. Move that out of the way. Sieve this. Don't think I need the scale anymore. So I can probably put that away. Turn that off and pop it in the drawer behind me. There's a drawer right behind me. Alright, so now the next thing is some baking powder. Now I'm only going to do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. because the self-raising flour has already got baking powder in it, I just like a little bit more of a lift. So 2 teaspoons, and then 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm just going to put it down here because it's not going to go through the sieve anyway. It's a very fine sieve, this one, and salt doesn't go through it. So 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay, so that's that done. Put these away. Break up that little bit of baking powder. Now, before I start baking, I always fill up my sink, which is just there, with hot soapy water, so all of these can go straight into it, and I can just wash up and clean up as I go. I'm just going to pop this flour back in here. This is my bigger bowl. I don't know why I got such a small bowl out. I don't know. All right, and then I'm just going to I'm just going to whisk all of these dry ingredients together, just to have that baking powder and salt all incorporated. Try and do it gently so it doesn't all jump out of the bowl. Okay, so that's my sugar in the bowl there, ready to go when my Nutella balls are frozen. So that's that ready to go. Give my bench a wipe. So the next thing I need to do is I need to get my eggs out. But I'm going to leave them because I want them to stay cold, same as the cold butter. So I'll just leave them in the fridge for now. So when I come back, I'll do the eggs and mix everything together. So I will see you then. I'm going to go and have a cup of coffee and wait for my Nutella balls to freeze. Right, so while the Nutella is freezing, and look, I ended up using a whole jar that is 400 grams. So that's made like 26 heaped teaspoonfuls. So yeah, that's a lot of Nutella. I've still got the chocolate chips to go. The next thing I want to do is I just want to get these eggs ready. So we have got 5 eggs, and I'm just going to go back and use my bigger bowl that I rinsed out. 5 eggs. Pop them in there. I always like to break them into a separate bowl, just in case you get a bit of egg shell, you know, and you can't see it once it's in there. So it's much easier just to do it there. I also find that when I crack, oops, there's a piece. When I crack it on the side there, I always get little shards of eggshell on the side of the bowl, and then you risk them going into your mix as well. So just crack it on the bench, and there we go. So I need a fork. I'm just going to lightly mix those eggs in, because what we don't want to do, once the butter goes into the mixer there, we don't want to cream it. We want it to stay a sandy, chunky sort of a mix. No creaming in this cookie recipe. So the dogs have all run outside barking. So we've stirred the flour, we've mixed the eggs, all of this in preparation to then add it to our bowl and not mix it too much in there. That's why we're just doing it here. So that's that. And then into the eggs, I'm going to put some vanilla extract. I prefer the extract instead of the essence. The essence to me just tastes a little bit too artificial. 1 tablespoon. It's a big recipe. 1 tablespoon of vanilla. All right. Put that in the sink. So now I think I've got everything. We've got the sugar, we've got the flour, we've got the eggs, we've got the chocolate chips, I've got my big cookie scoop. So the next thing I need to do is go and get my butter out of the fridge and cut that up. So I'm just going to use this breadboard here. Move my flour eggs out of the way for a minute. So this is just plain salted butter. Nothing special. And I'm just going to basically cut it into cubes, and then that goes into the mixer with the sugar. And we want it to stay nice and cold. Like I said, we don't want to be creaming anything. I do have recipes for choc chip cookies that you do need to specifically cream your ingredients, like you would a cake, you know. Traditionally, it's add your sugar and your room temperature butter, cream it till it's thick and pale, then add your eggs one at a time. And you know the drill. If you're a baker, you know that that's sort of normally how you go about making cookies, but not with this one, because we don't want the cookies to spread. We want them to stay nice and thick and chunky, so that's why we're using cold butter. If for whatever reason you don't have cold butter, and you're using a warm butter or you're using a margarine, you could potentially just still freeze your batter or your dough afterwards. Don't cook it straight away, because you want it to firm up so that when you're baking them, they stay in their nice sort of ball shape rather than just flattening out as they would with a warm butter. Let me move this over here, and we'll start with the mixer. Whoops, where are you there? Now, this, for me, I mean, I've got a Kenwood, so I've got a K, so just like a paddle mixer. Last time I used my plastic one, but it wasn't strong enough, so metal. Just the K, not the whisking balloon, just the K is fine. Just on low. And we're just going to let that go for, or maybe I'll just turn it up a little bit. Just let that go for a couple of minutes. Get everything else organised. While that's doing that, I'll get my cookie tray out. Just check to see what that's looking like. And just going to line that with some baking paper or parchment paper. So what I'm going to do is, once I've made my cookies, my balls, I'm going to put them on here, and then I'll take that and I'll put it into my chest freezer for at least 2 hours. You want them nice and hard. The longer you leave them in the freezer, my freezer's set to -18 degrees, the longer you leave them in there, the sort of puffier they'll be. If you don't leave them in there for very long, like an hour or so, they will sort of spread out a little bit more. So I think that's enough. We've got some little pieces of butter, still got some bigger pieces of butter, and it's quite hard, as you can see, quite hard. But I am going to add my chocolate now. So what I'm going to do, because Nutella it's very rich, you guys. Now come on, this is a high calorie cookie. It's not a diet cookie. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's got lots of chocolate in it, lots of sugar, lots of butter. I am using a combination of milk, so milk chocolate. These are just by Nestle. I do like the Nestle brand. And this is, I don't know if you can see it there, 375 grams of milk chocolate. So that's going to go in. Yum. And then, because the dark chocolate is a lot stronger, and the Nutella is kind of a dark chocolate and it's quite strong, I'm only using half the amount, so that's 200 gram bag. So basically 400 grams of the milk chocolate and 200 grams of the dark chocolate. And again, we'll just mix those in just on low. Get all that combined. And then we'll add the flour. Okay, so that's enough. Push that off. You just don't want to break up your butter too much, okay? You can see there it's looking really good. Now with this recipe, this basic recipe of 500 grams of butter, 500 grams of brown sugar, 200 grams of caster sugar, we've got 5 eggs, we've got a tablespoon of vanilla, we've got 600 grams of self-raising flour, 400 grams of plain flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and the chocolate. Now, if you were just having chocolate chips, you could go ahead and add 700, 800 grams of chocolate to that amount of batter. So when I'm just doing a small batter of my fluffy creamed chocolate chips, I have a 200 gram block of butter and I do 400 grams of chocolate chips. So potentially you could get away with 800 grams of chocolate chips for this recipe. I've only got 600 in here. We've got the 400 of milk and the 200 of darks, that's 600. But because we've got all that Nutella and it is a 400 gram, I'm not going to add the full amount of chocolate that I could if I was just doing a chocolate chip cookie. And when I did my white chocolate macadamia cookies, I had about 550 grams of chocolate, but then I also added 400 grams of macadamias, so that kind of built up the bulk. So if you want chocolate and nuts, you have to reduce your chocolate to add your nuts. But if you just want all chocolate, then you can go up to 800 grams. Does that make sense? Hope so. Now, because this is very full and I don't want it spraying everywhere, I'm going to give it a bit of an apron. It's going to tuck that in. Hold it back here. Have I got it? I think I've got it. Okay, now I can just put that on low. Just to get that flour coating all those wet ingredients. Hopefully have a little peek. Yeah, okay, that's good. I always like to be on the safe side and just cover it. I've learnt the hard way where flour just poofs up in your face like that. Now you can see it's looking really sort of crumbly, sandy. So at that stage, we just stop and add the eggs. And this is where it's going to bring all those dry ingredients together. And like, I've still got some big chunks of butter there, which is fine. It's feeling a little bit softer now. So I'm going to add that in. Scrape it all out. Don't want to waste any. Don't know what my dogs are barking at. Excuse the dogs. All right, now I'm going to go again. Just again, lightly. We're going to moisten all of those dry ingredients. Probably going to have to go in with my spatula and clean up the sides a little bit. I'm just going to go and shut that door. Something's setting the dogs off. I'll be right back. Stop it, you guys. Okay. I don't know what's setting them off today. Sorry. They're dogs. Anything. All right, here we go. Turn it back on. It's life. I'm not a professional baker. I'm not in a studio. It's just me at home. I have noise in the background. I have deliveries knocking on the door. I have dogs barking. I have birds chirping. All right, so now, can you see how the dough is pulling away from the sides here? The sides are nice and clean. So that's the time that you can stop. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at all of that. So again, don't want to go any further. We don't want to be creaming this. I need to get all of this yummy batter off my mixer, off my paddle, I should say. So before you get to this end stage, do what I did and just go through your recipe. Make sure you've added everything. So butter, sugar, flour, go through everything. Check, check, check. Make sure you haven't forgotten anything. Last time I forgot the vanilla and didn't realise until I'd done that check. So make sure that you do your check. All right, throw that in the sink. Like so. All right, now for the fun part. That was fun too. I'm just going to move my mixer out of the way. Get a bit of a wipe down. Okay, my hands are clean. Now I do need to just make sure, I can't really see down there all that well, but I need to make sure that there's no dry flour down the bottom there, which usually is in such a big batch of cookies. And I can see there's some dry flour way down the bottom there, and it is a little bit tricky to try and get it all out. If you wanted to, you could just tip this whole thing onto your bench, but I would rather not. I'd rather keep it in the bowl. Just have to try and sort of incorporate it. Once I've emptied that a little bit more, I'll be able to get down there. But just be aware that you may still have a little bit of dry flour down the bottom. And you don't want to get to the bottom and think, okay, I'm nearly finished my cookies and all you've got is dry flour. You know, you don't want to do that. So yeah, just be careful. All right, so now this is where we do our cookie measuring. I'll get the scale out because I just want to show you. This is my big cookie dough. I bought these and it came in a set of 3, so I've got large, medium and small. Using the large one today. So when I scoop, and I do like a rounded scoop. I'm just going to see what that weighs. So it's 136. So we're sort of aiming for about 125. That's 126. You can potentially weigh all of them if you want to get them all the same size. You certainly could do that. And then you don't want to make them into a tight ball. You're just going to sort of just do that. Just a scrunch. Probably will just weigh them all. 127. Look at that. I don't mind 127. A bit of a scrunch. Now they can go quite near each other. 124. I don't think I'll bother. Look, I know that, you know, doing a nice heaped scoop like this is going to be more than ample, and it'll just save time. You don't need to be weighing, you know, you can weigh a few and then you sort of get the feel for the size of them and you think, yep, that's about right. So just keep scooping, a bit of a scrunch, a bit of move them up. I don't want them touching because I don't want them freezing. That one feels a little bit smaller, 119. So you get to sort of feel when they're about right. So I am just going to do all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We should be able to get 6 by 4, so I should be able to get 24 on here. And yeah, I'm not sure if I've got enough dough to do 26. All depends on you know, how big you want to make your cookie balls. Every now and then you could throw them on the scale again just to be just to see how you're going. That one was 130. But you don't want to compact them. You want them to stay sort of nice and airy. Oh, you're a big one. You're 148. How did that happen? I'm probably over scooping, aren't I? Okay, so there we go. I wonder how many we'll get. There's a little bit of dry flour in that one. I'll just have to give that a bit of a more of a press together. I think I should be able to reach down and get that dry flour off the bottom now. Let's have a look. Just get this dough out. Can you see in there? You see how there's some dry flour down there? I just want to make sure that I've incorporated that. It's just really hard for the mixer to get all the way down there. You do need to make sure that you've incorporated all of that. You could, of course, just do half a batch. You don't have to do a double batch like I do. Like I said, if I'm going to be in the kitchen, I'm making a mess, I would rather just do a huge batch, do a double batch. And then I've got cookies in the freezer, store for 3 months in the freezer, and then whenever you have a feeling that you want a cookie, or you've got friends or family coming over and you think, oh my gosh, what can I give them? You can just pop out to the freezer, grab 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 cookies, however many you need, and bake them up nice and fresh, and your family and friends can enjoy those warm and gooey. It's the best way to have them, in my opinion. Not straight from the oven. I like to cool them down I let them cool on the baking tray for about 5 minutes, and then I can transfer them onto a cooling rack, and then they'll sit there for about 10 minutes or however long. My husband prefers them cold. I prefer them soft and gooey. So if you wanted to make your cookies smaller, maybe only 100 grams, you could do that, of course, and they won't take as long to cook. These will probably take about 18 minutes or so. But like I said, once I've done these have to go into the freezer for a few hours. You can even leave them overnight if you're busy. And then preheat your oven. My oven, I use the fan, so I take it up to 180 degrees fan, which is 200 non-fan, or I think it's about 410 Fahrenheit. So it's a hot oven, but you're only cooking them for about 16 to 18 minutes, depending on your oven, and they're all different. My oven takes about 18 minutes, but everyone's oven seems to be a little bit different. I'm just weighing these. I'm just sort of getting them somewhere between 120 and 130. It's fine. I'm not being too precious about it. I've never really had a cookie scoop before, and I've only just recently got it, and I think, oh my gosh, how could I not have one all these years? How could I not have one? 122. But look, if you don't want to see me balling up cookies, feel free to fast forward. I can't. I have to, there's some steps on the other side of my island bench. I have to climb up the steps. I have to kneel on my island bench, because my island bench is like 2.5 meters wide, long by 2 meters. So I have to crawl on top of my island bench to reach my tripod, which is just here. Oh, you're 140. So yeah, I can't really stop and push pause, I'm sorry, but feel free just to fast forward and catch up with me later. I did end up making I ended up making, I think, 26 Nutella balls. I don't think I'm gonna need 26. Nearly, look. I'm pretty good with the recipe. I say it's gonna make 24. And yeah, 24, yeah. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. 24 cookies. So I'll have a little bit of Nutella left over. Okay, I'm just going to pinch a bit of chocolate from a couple of others because that last little bit of dough in the bottom there didn't have a lot of chocolate in it. So I'm just pinching some from a few others. Okay, last one. 125, exactly. Oh my gosh. All right, now I'll throw all this in the sink, clean up my hands. All right, so now that we've done with the cookie balls, just clean up this little mess here. Now that we've done those, I've got the first tray of Nutella out of the freezer. It's probably just as well I did 2 trays because I can work on these while the other tray is still in the freezer. So what we need to do now is take one, press a hole into it, put that in and close it up. Okay, it'll work pretty quickly because the Nutella, even though it's frozen, it does want to thaw pretty fast. These dough balls feel a little bit sort of wetter than my previous ones did, my macadamia ones. It comes down to a few things. How much you sort of work your butter, the temperature of your room. It's pretty warm in here today. It's starting to melt already. And also the size of your eggs. I generally use 700 gram eggs. The ones I used for my macadamia cookies, I think they were 600s. And then today I've used 700 gram eggs. So I've got a little bit more liquid. But yeah, you can sort of 600 to 700 gram eggs are fine. There we go. And of course, the more you work these with warm hands, the softer the butter is going to get. So we try not to work the butter too much in the mixer. We try not to handle it too much while we're making the dough balls. I guess if you wanted to save a step while you're weighing out your dough balls, you could have your Nutella sitting here, but it just takes longer and then you've got more of a risk that your Nutella is going to melt. These are going to be so good. And again, I'm trying not to sort of pack them into a smooth ball. I'm just closing them as best I can. I don't want the Nutella to leak out when it cooks. Well, that's a big one. Get in there. Get in there. All right. Now I'm going to grab the other tray from the freezer. And I will have two left. Where did I get up to? Was it here? Looks like it was here. I think that one, yeah, that one looks as if it's got melted Nutella on the side. Okay. And of course, if you've got someone helping you in your kitchen, you know, somebody could be weighing or balling up the dough, and another person could come behind them quickly and put Nutella balls in. I also have, for those that are interested, I also have a white chocolate hazelnut spread, so similar to the the dark chocolate Nutella. I have got a white chocolate Nutella, so that will be coming up. I have also got a Biscoff spread and Biscoff cookies. So that cookie recipe will be coming up as well. I have, quite a while back, I was making freeze-dried raspberry and white chocolate and macadamia bark, slabs of chocolate, and I've still got a lot of the freeze-dried raspberries left. So I am also going to do, coming up soon, I'm going to do a freeze-dried raspberry and white chocolate cookies. See this? That butter is now melting, a little bit of butter there. It's starting to melt. So let's get these in the freezer. I've got 2 left. I'll just put them back in the jar and they can melt down. So yeah, I'll get these in the freezer now. And I'll probably bake them in about maybe 4 hours, or if the house is too noisy this afternoon, I'll leave it till the morning. Cold, 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 cold. Oh, it's been in the freezer. It's freezing. Okay. Now these are rock hard. So what we're going to do is I need to pop my tray into the oven. Okay, and I've set my oven to 180 degrees Celsius and the fan's on. Now I'm going to cook, I'll keep 6 out, or maybe 5, because I can put 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do 5. And the rest of them, I'm just going to pop in these very handy silicone storage bags. I prefer the ones that don't have that sort of gusset, wider section at the bottom. I just prefer those. Swap them over. So most of them are going to go in here and they'll go back in the freezer, because you know what happens when you cook a heap of cookies? You feel that you have to eat them, and we don't want to eat them all at once. We're going to ration them. So not that they're going to last 3 months in my freezer, but there we go. Now, if you don't have much space in your freezer when you're freezing these, like to put the balls on a tray, you could use, you know, your plastic containers. If that's easier, pop the lid on them and put them in the freezer that way. But like I said, I've got the big chest freezer outside on my deck. So I just lift out the top baskets and then put this big tray straight across all the frozen things in the freezer. Okay, so what are we leaving out? 1, 2, 3. Make sure I leave the biggest ones. I think they're all biggest. They're all probably biggest. I don't know. They all look the same size to me. Okay, so we're just going to leave out 5. Oh, look. 6. We're going to leave out 6 because that's all that's going to fit. All right, so there we go. Oh my gosh, they're so heavy. So these will go back into the freezer. I will put a little note on them and slide it inside just saying Nutella cookies, because then when I do other sorts, it's a bit difficult to remember which ones are which, isn't it? All right, now I need to get you down here with me. So I need to go around the table, around the island bench, climb up onto the bench and get you down. Okay, that's better. Now you're down here with me. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to put my little oven glove on and open up the oven. See, I've got it at 180. Get that out. And now I'm just going to pop these cookies on. I don't know how I'm supposed to fit 6 on because I wasn't planning on doing 6. Oh no, I can only get 5 on this square tray. I'll just have to squish the other one into the bag. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Put that up there. In they go. So we don't flatten them or anything. We just put them in. And I am going to set my timer for 18 minutes. Okay, so after about 10 minutes or so, I will turn them so that, you know, because the back of my oven cooks hotter than the front of my oven, and then I can put them on here a bit later on. So anyway, that's where my bench was, and then my tripod was here, sitting over the top there like that. So yeah. All right, I'm going to put this little guy away in the bags, and I will see you in 18 minutes. Oh my gosh, you guys, coming into the kitchen, I can smell these cookies already. They smell so good. Look at that. 12, 10, 9, 8. Anyway, I'm going to see how they look, and if I think they're a little bit not quite dark enough. Oops, let me turn that off. Okay, thank you. So that's been 18 minutes. Let's have a little look at them. Oh, look at that. Yes. Oh my gosh, they are so heavy. Let's pop them up here. Close that oven door. Now the last ones I did at 190 degrees. They do look more pale through my screen than they do in real life. But you can see they've got some sort of gold and brown happening along the edges there. And we've got some sort of gold and brown happening on the top. The best way I feel to test if a cookie is done is when it starts to crack. It starts to crack on top, like that. See those cracks? Look how good that looks. So I'm going to leave them. I mean, a lot of you might say, no, they're not done yet. I do want them to be, so press there. See how soft it is? I do want them to be soft and sort of gooey, a little bit undercooked in the middle, like you would do a fudgy brownie. Because you know, those of you that cook, you know when you get a fudgy brownie out and it's still warm, it's really quite soft and you think, oh, I've underdone it. But then the next day, once it's had a chance to cool, it just sort of solidifies, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to leave these because I think they are done enough. I'll turn my oven off. There we go. All right, so that's them done. I'm going to leave them there for about 5 minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll take them off the tray and just pop them on the cooling rack. Just looking at the magpies. There's magpies out there already. Hello. Yes. All right, I need to go and feed them shortly. They've got babies in their nest. Okay, oh, goodbye. I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes, and we'll just transfer these cookies onto the wire rack to cool for another half an hour or so. Okay, 5 minutes is up, and let's have a little look. I'm gonna just put the tray over here. I can touch it now without burning myself. And let's see how these are doing. Okay, so they're feeling more firm. Yes, I can pick it up. Oh, look at the back. Looks gorgeous. It's always a good sign when you've got a nicely round, crispy bottom, hey? All those bits of chocolate that have melted. Yum! And that's because the tray, can you hear that? It's because we preheated the tray. So I am not going to break into it just yet. It's still going to be too hot, but in about 10 minutes. So I know you've got to be patient. In 10 minutes we'll come back and we'll break one open and have a taste. All right, it is time. I've just put my little cooling rack here on the breadboard in front of the window. We're losing light. It's 5:30 in the afternoon now, so let's have a little look before I totally lose the light. So we want to have a look and see what these are going to look like. Okay, now I'm going to just break it through the center, and hopefully we will get that gorgeous sort of Nutella. It breaks where it wants to break. You can see the cracks there. I tried doing it the other way, but no, it wanted to go this way, so it's going this way. Now it's a little bit oily because it's still warm, so the butter, you know, coming out of the cookie is still quite melty, but tomorrow that will all be nice and firm. Look at that! Look at that Nutella center. Yummo. And you can see there's a choc chip there. There's choc chips here, there. They're dotted all around, and of course we've got that gorgeous Nutella center and that lovely golden base there. All right, now there's only one thing left to do. I have to taste it. I do. And you can see there that, you know, the dough's still looking a little bit uncooked. Like I said, because it's warm, it kind of looks a little bit underdone, but it's not. That'll firm up tomorrow, and we'll just have, it'll be so fudgy. The Nutella will stay ooey gooey. The chocolate will become a little bit more firm. I don't put them in the fridge. I don't like them in the fridge. I like them to still be nice and soft. All right, and this is why you bake just as you want them, because I really don't like to keep them more than 24 hours. Just pop this bit down. Oh, my mouth's watering. I want to have a bite. All right, are you ready? I'm going to go this way, then I can have a bite of the Nutella as well. Okay, here we go. Yum. That is so good. So good. Yum-o. You have got to try these, you guys. Definitely. I'll have another bite. Nutella just dropped out. I'm going to eat this bit too. I shouldn't be eating cookies at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the afternoon. I won't eat my dinner. That is just gorgeous. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Definitely make yourself some Nutella cookies. And I will hopefully see you all again for the next one. I do want to try the freeze-dried raspberries next time with some dark chocolate. All right. I'm going to go have a big drink of milk. All right. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. Take care. Bye for now.